Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Painting at Home. I am Jean Moss. I have my wine here. It's got plenty of ice cubes because I still don't have a working fridge, but I'd like to drink a toast to all of you. Cheers. Very delicious. I hope you all brought your beverages. Today is a very exciting and special day here on Painting at Home. I had the wonderful opportunity of speaking with a dear friend of mine, another fellow artist, who said, Jean, have you ever considered painting The Last Supper? And I said, no, I hadn't thought of painting food, but what an interesting concept. I didn't even think about painting my Last Supper, so today that's what we're going to do. We are going to paint what I ate for supper last night, which was a very delicious bowl of Kraft macaroni and cheese, complete with green olives and a little bit of capers. Something I love to throw in any of my dishes. Green olives and capers goes with absolutely everything. A bowl of cereal all the way to ice cream. I invite you to try it. Let's get started. So I've already started to outline my delicious bowl. My Last Supper is what I'm going to title this painting. And I've drawn out a bowl, and I've used a very special material for that. I've used my wonderful colored pencils, which again, for those of you unfamiliar with a colored pencil, it's simply a pencil of color. So I want to make this a little bit darker. Now, I've already kind of outlined what my bowl is going to look like. And one interesting thing about drawing food, which again, I've never even considered trying, is that we get to play again with textures. And all of you know how much I just simply love a good texture. It is just tasty, and I love to play around with different shapes and textures. So we're just gonna kind of draw in this bowl. And my bowls don't look quite as nice as this bowl. This is just a nice blue bowl that I believe I saw, probably somewhere on the internet. But luckily I have seen Kraft macaroni and cheese in real life because I eat it almost every night. Here we go. So I'm just outlining this bowl, and I'm just going to make these lines nice and thick. Now we will go back and we will use some paint to kind of give this some nice little shape. But I want to just make sure these lines are nice and clean and that there's a little bit just of girth to them. There we go. So there's just the outside of my bowl, and now I'm just going to come down to the sides. And I'm using the side of my colored pencil just to get a little bit of that thicker line. Just use every last aspect of your materials. I invite you all to think about, what was your Last Supper? What have you been eating? For those of you joining us, I am drawing The Last Supper, which is my Last Supper. So I was saying earlier in the episode that I had a dear friend who encouraged me to draw The Last Supper. And I said, well, I've never considered drawing food before, but here we go. So I will be drawing my Last Supper, and my Last Supper, of course, was a nice big bowl of Kraft macaroni and cheese. And so I'm just getting started here, and I'm drawing underneath my bowl. I have these beautiful green napkins that I found in someone's dumpster, but I thought I could absolutely reuse these. So that's what I'm drawing in the background, is just this wonderful little green sort of napkin that I had placed it on. So we have the bowl and we have the napkin. Everything is just coming together so beautifully. So now let's go ahead and jump into that painting. I can hardly wait. I can hardly wait. I'm gonna take a quick sip of my wine. I don't know if any of you have ever tried Pinot Grigio with ice cubes. Terrific. Okay, let's get started. I am just so ready to make a little magic. I've got my little guy here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just tap it into my water. We're tapping and tapping. There we go. And now I'm going to just use a very classic blue. But what I may do is throw in a little bit of this iridescent sort of brown color, because I don't want to get a perfect blue. I want to get almost a navy blue. That's right. So we're going to go ahead and just draw this all out. Oh, look at that. Yes, a rich blue indeed. And one thing that's really fun about playing with objects is you can play with how light hits the object. We're so used to drawing landscapes, or I don't know, maybe something like, who knows, a seascape or nature, but we never have really attacked what I believe is called still life. And all that means is not alive. Here we go. We're going to just continue on with that bowl. And this is my Last Supper, which I think is what I'm going to title this painting. I think it's a very beautiful title. I was so intrigued when I spoke to my friend about this. And we're just kind of coming together. And again, I'm using this really wonderful iridescent sort of color. I said yesterday, and I'll reiterate, oh, I love the word iridescent. It's just such a handy little word. Coming right around, we're going to try to get these lines as clean as possible. Look at that. Now there will be some shading because one, as we all know, what's going to go into this bowl is going to be that Kraft macaroni and cheese. So I've got my little brush and we're just going to continue on outlining my bowl. I've already done so with my colored pencils, but now I'm going to use that paint and just sort of draw over. And what we're going to do then is create wonderful shading within the bowl. So many options with materials like watercolor. We're coming on down. Oh, look at that. Yes, that's just beautiful. Beautiful. So now we have our bowl and I'm just going to start to fill in. And I'm going to stick with my little brush because I want to grab the movement of this bowl. And it's going to go up in a very bowl-like shape. So you're going to use a lot of gesture as you stroke your bowl. So we've got our blue, and again, I'm grabbing this wonderful iridescent brown. We're just going to keep on stroking that bowl. Now you can stroke your bowl however you want, big or little strokes, it doesn't matter, as long as you're getting that sort of rounded shape. And we've seen this, right? We've seen this when we paint water, we've seen this when we paint the sun. So many round objects. I invite you to look around and see what round objects you can find in your day. So many, I see them all the time. Things like, oh, I don't know, maybe an apple, maybe an orange, who knows? Great, and I'm just coming around. We're just shading this bowl right in. And I haven't decided quite yet where my light source is coming from. That's a pretty advanced technique. You get to decide which way your light is coming in. Is it coming up? Is it coming down? Is it coming through? Is it coming around the bowl? You pick. Here we go. So we're coming around. Oh yes. And probably how I'm going to make that happen is I'm going to just go ahead and maybe leave a little bit of a lighter space on my bowl. It's so fun to draw objects. They're so silly. Who knows what objects are thinking? It's a little bit different when we draw life, isn't it? Because everything in life has a brain, but this bowl does not have a brain. For those of you who don't know, bowls cannot think for themselves. Very interesting. Maybe they can, who knows? All right, we're just finishing up with this wonderful blue. And I'm just gonna leave a little bit of a lighter color. There we go. Wonderful. Now one thing I am going to do, because this bowl does have an edge to it, so I'm going to take a little bit more of that iridescent and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of my black here, and I'm just going to come around and create a little bit of a line. Okay, that's a little bit darker, just so you can see the edge of the bowl. It's an advanced technique. An advanced technique. If you are having trouble creating that illusion, don't worry. It takes a little practice. Stick with it. There we go. So there we go. There's our edge of the bowl. We're just making sure we see that that bowl is not infinite. Wonderful. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, everyone, is I am going to go ahead and I'm going to draw the same kind of line in the back, because that edge goes all the way around. It's absolutely crazy how edges work. So we're going to just go all the way around, very, very round, and we're going to just be very careful, create that beautiful clean line. Oh, look at that. That's just working out so wonderfully. Oh, wonderful. We're just going to come right all the way around, and I'm making the round a little bit thicker because that's my shading. Look at that. I'm going to grab a little more of that iridescent and a little bit more of that black, and we're just going to come right around. Oh, look at that. I don't know about you, but I feel like this edge has a secret. Let's keep going. We're just about finished here. Oh, listen to that jaunty and cheerful music. There we go, and we're filling that in, and then we come all the way around, and I can already see the shape of this wonderful bowl. It's majestic. Okay, so now I want to just go ahead and fill in my little sort of napkin that I have, and it's just going to be a lovely little green color. So I've got my big one, big old Jimmy. That's what I've named my brush. You name your brush whatever you want to. Big old Jimmy and I are going to go ahead and grab a little green, oh, and have a little sparkle. Why not? Green and sparkle. I'm just going to go ahead and paint in these lines. Look at that. That's wonderful. We're just going to stroke all the way down. Beautiful little napkin. This is wonderful. I love the word still life. It indicates that life is just standing still. Never thought about it that way. We're just going to keep on going with that little stroke. Very simple, up and down the page using both sides of my brush. Very clean lines. And we're just coming all the way down. There we go. And this one I'm doing a little bit straighter line because my napkin is not rounded like the bowl. Maybe you have round napkins in your house. I do not. There we go. We're just going to keep on scrolling down. Look at that green. What a rich green. There we go. And that's just going to jump right off the page. And we're just going to come right around. There we go. And I've drawn it so it comes around this way. I didn't want to draw it just right next to the bowl. I wanted to make it seem as though the bowl is sitting on the napkin. It's a very advanced technique. I imagine you're able to give it a try at home. Play around. This is so achievable at home. Here we go. And we're just finishing up here. Now I do have my tape down there, so you'll just have to imagine. Here we go. We're just painting right around it, and that looks wonderful. There we go. So there's my little napkin, and of course we've got our bowl. I am so thrilled because now comes the part where we get to jump in to the mac and cheese. Now something interesting about my mac and cheese last night, I normally have just the very, very standard elbow macaroni and cheese, but last night I decided to splurge a little bit, and I had shells. So because I want to be on theme and make sure I have my Last Supper. So my Last Supper was those shells. So I'm going to draw the shells. Now, here's what's fun. We're going to play and mess around because, as you know, macaroni and cheese is yellow, but it's not just plain yellow, it is a gold yellow. So I have my yellow here, and I'm going to mix it with a little bit of this orangey red. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. And then I think what we're going to do is let that dry, and then I'm going to go back using some marker. We are getting absolutely crazy here today. Absolutely crazy. I don't know if it's because we're going into the weekend or what, but we're just going to go nuts. So I'm mixing my yellow, and I'm mixing that little red, and here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to do a little circular motion. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, I can see it already. Just little circles. And mine's going to be piled nice and high. I try not to eat a whole box by myself, but I don't try very hard. Here we go. I don't know about any of you, but oh, I love macaroni and cheese. Okay, so we're just drawing those little circles. These are my shells, and I'm going to make those even more distinguished later on. But for now, I just want to fill in. I'm going to imagine that it's piled nice and high, right in the middle, because I just can't get enough of Kraft macaroni and cheese. Here we go. There we go. Just painting and painting away, and I'm just doing little circles, and they are in fact counterclockwise. Now you can go clockwise, it is up to you. They're your circles, or they're your elbows. You pick. Here we go. This is making just the absolute best color, and I love it. And we're just gonna twinkle around here a little bit, and then I'm gonna add my olives and capers. Because I don't know about any of you, but I love adding different things to my macaroni and cheese. It's just so much fun. Here we go. Grabbing a little yellow and a little of that red, and oh, look at that. We're just coming right in, getting right down to business. Here we go. And there's our macaroni and cheese. That's wonderful. Oh boy, that is something. That is something indeed. Okay, so as you can see, we still have a little bit of space in the back. We're going to play around with that. I'm really rinsing off my brush, and you're going to hear me tap. Make sure you tap. There we go. We're tapping away. Okay, so we have this space in the back. Here's what we're going to do with it. I'm going to start with that iridescent, and then I'm going to pick up just a little bit of blue. Just a little bit. Just a dab of that blue. Just a dab. We're going to jump right around. Look at that. Great. And what I want to do is just come around and then fill in. Fill in. Look at that. We're just filling very gently. Almost like a secret. I'm going to rinse my brush. Now I want to grab a little bit more of that iridescent just to blend. So we're going to grab that, coming around. There we go. And we're just going to blend, and it's going to be a little bit lighter. You don't want to make too much noise when you are painting because you don't want to scare yourself into drawing the wrong thing. That only happens to me sometimes. And it's only when I'm painting in my sleep, which has been known to happen from time to time. Here we go. I'm just going to draw some lovely lines. It's just coming together so nicely, and I really just want it to sort of fade out because I want it all to blend. So we're going very carefully now with still lifes. For some of you who don't know, still life, once again, all that means is dead, not alive. So we are going to just paint that in. That's wonderful. I have my Kraft macaroni and cheese, my shells and cheese, and that's just drawn right in there. So there's our Kraft macaroni and cheese, and it is just so exciting. So now I'm going to let this sort of chill out for a moment. I want to make sure though I have plenty of that mac and cheese. So I've rinsed my brush again, done my tapping, and we're just going to go back and make sure we have all of that mac and cheese. Look at that, beautiful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that settle for a moment, and then we are going to go to our background. Very simple background today, because the focus is the food. So I'm going to just use a very broad stroke using my big boy, and I'm thinking today, perhaps we do maybe just a light purple. I have the most beautiful light iridescent purple. I'm going to mix it with I call this Fairy Sparkle Purple. You can call it whatever you want, but this is Fairy Sparkle Purple, and we're just going to do a broad stroke in the background because we want to complement our macaroni and cheese. Look at that. How wonderful. And it's just a broad stroke right across the page. Nothing major, nothing major. Here we go. And how about, where did that purple go? My iridescent, there we are. There's that little rascal. And that Fairy Sparkle, and we're just sweeping right across the page. Now one thing I do have very close to my table is indeed a plant. So certainly we must add a plant. Of course, that's not going to come until just a little bit later. So we're just mixing that iridescent purple with my Fairy Sparkle Purple, and we're just doing a broad stroke across the page. Really giving our paper a nice massage today. Just a nice gentle massage. Look at that. Oh, I love to massage paper with my brush. And I think the paper likes it too. Here we go. We've got that iridescent and then Fairy Sparkle. And we're just coming right across. Look at that. Using both sides, and we have plenty of water working out. There we go. Oh, we have a fancy little doggy coming by. How lucky are we? There we go. And we've got our Fairy Sparkle, iridescent. We're getting so close to the bottom. Look at that. I just love how versatile watercolor becomes. Look at that. And I want to make sure not to run too much into my bowl, because, as I said before, we really want the bowl to be the absolute focal point of our painting. I'm loving how Fairy Sparkle and iridescent are just really highlighting the majesty that is mac and cheese. Look at that. Grabbing our water, and we're just coming right around here, and I'm going to let this just kind of fade out at the bottom. Oh, listen to that wispy music. I love it. We're just about finished here with our background. There we go. Wonderful. And there we go. Terrific. So we've got our background, we've got our mac and cheese. Now, I am going to add a little detail to my napkin, because I do just have a regular green napkin, but I always imagined having a napkin, maybe with some stripes and things. So we're going to add just a couple little stripes to my napkin. Look at that. Here we go. And I'm going to add this little stripe. And this little stripe. It's going to come behind the bowl. Little rascal down there. There we go. And we've got a few down here. Grab a little bit more paint. And your napkins can look absolutely however you want them to. Maybe they have hearts or flowers on them, or I don't know, maybe a nice wind instrument, who knows. There we go. Just finishing that, and that's just going to be right where that is. There we go. Beautiful. I'm going to rinse my brush, rinsing it right off. Look at that. And I'm going to grab a little bit more of that green. We're just about finishing up here, friends, with My Last Supper. Now again, you get to draw whatever your last supper was. Whatever you ate for dinner is absolutely up to you. So I'm just outlining this. Now comes the extra fun part, friends, because we have our macaroni and cheese, but we're going to play around with this a little bit. So I have in my toolbox here, I have some wonderful colors. These are called thicker markers. So we're going to use these, and I'm thinking I'm going to use, maybe a little bit of brown, just to get a little bit of shape going. So we've drawn our shells, and I'm just going to go in and add a little bit of shapes to those shells. Here's another shell. Here's another shell. And another shell. I'm just drawing circles to indicate shells. Look at that. And I'm using the rigor of the music to dictate how my shells look. That's wonderful. Make that a little bit bigger shell. Here we go. Kraft macaroni and cheese. Highly recommended. Just a few ingredients. Here we go. So that's just some of my shells. Now I'm going to jump in with this wonderful gold yellow. I'm going to do a similar thing. Oh, look at that. It's all going to blend together. And I'm doing a very similar gesture to what I did with my paint. It is so achievable at home. Wonderful. Now, as I stated, I love my macaroni and cheese with some green olives and some capers. So we're going to draw those things too. So my green olives, I'm going to use two different colors. I'm going to use, I'm thinking I'm going to use this very bold green for my green olives. And these guys are a little bit bigger. So I'm going to draw one, right here. There's a green olive. Oh, there's another green olive. A couple of green olives. There we go. And as I say, green olives just go with absolutely anything. You can put them in your cereal, or ice cream, or your soups. Very versatile vegetable. There we go. So there's my green olives. I have cans and cans of them. And then, of course, we have our jarred capers. So I'm going to use a darker green, and I'm going to use my confetti technique. There we go. Sprinkle in some capers. There it is. Wonderful. And there we have our mac and cheese. We've got one final detail, my friends. Of course, I do have a little life in my house, and so we're going to draw the plant that lives right by my table, and I'm going to toast a cheers to all of you. Delicious. My ice in my glass of wine has melted, but I would recommend ice in your wine. Just delicious. It makes the ice so tasty. Here we go. We're going to draw a little tree, and I'm going to jump back into my paints. Here we have it. And I'm going to be using my sparkle glitter brown and then that iridescent. But this is the bronze iridescent, so I have two. I have sort of copper and then also just kind of a bronze. And here we go. We're going to draw our tree. So I have a fern. We're going to draw the fern right here. But I've cut it and rounded it a little bit. So here's my tree. And it's a little bit on that diagonal. Look at that. And it goes just right off the page. Here's that tree. I thought when I got this plant I was getting a pet mouse named Fern. I didn't know that, but luckily it was a plant because the last mouse I had didn't quite make it through the night. Here we go. Just draw that out, big and girthy, up. There we go. And then of course we have to grab our big guy again. Mr. Jimmy, just about finishing up here with My Last Supper, which was indeed macaroni and cheese. And I'm grabbing my glitter paints. This is the plant next to my table. Here we go. And I rounded it out. And I love this because it actually does look like little fern leaves. Just a big old plant here. Nice rounded top. I'm going to grab a little bit darker green. Glittery green, really saturate the old brush here. Oh yeah, just get right in there. As much paint as you can. You bet. There we go. Draw that in there. Look at that. Oh, look at that. is my little plant here. My little fern. Wonderful. And now I'm going to grab a little bit of darker iridescent. We're just going to keep on going with that glitter green, and I'm going to come all the way down. And there's my tree. There we go. And now, finally, just want to give a little bit of shade to my fern. My big old fern. Make that trunk nice and girthy. There we go. There we go. And then, just so we're as accurate as possible, the edge of my chair will be right here. Here's the edge of my chair. There we go. I've got that wonderful fern and the edge of my chair. It's just the edge though, just the back of it. Not super important, but just want to finish off with accuracy. Here it is. It's just going to run right into that fern. There we go. Get that guy there. There's our fern. Wonderful. And there's my Last Supper. There it is. Turned out much better than I could have ever imagined. Let's zoom in and have a look at my Last Supper. My macaroni and cheese from last night with olives and capers, complete with my napkin, complete with my fern and just the back of my chair there. Oh, how tasty this food. It was such a wonderful suggestion from my friend to draw the Last Supper. I said I hadn't thought of drawing food before. So here's my attempt at my Last Supper. I don't know about you, but my mouth is watering indeed, especially having this delicious Pinot Grigio. My ice has melted, so I will replenish, but I invite you to think about all the foods you eat. What shapes, what textures, what do you like? And then take it to the page using your paint and just confetti that paper with your food. Thank you all so much for joining Painting at Home. I am Jean Moss. Have a fantastic evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.